All right, everybody, welcome back. We are starting the second half of this course, which means we have completed part one in Networking Academy, and we're going to start part two in Networking Academy. Um, they have completely changed the second half of this course since last time I taught it, so we're going to try and get through it the best we can. Um, the difficulty I have is trying to split the modules so that we can take the required amount of time for the course and not have too little or too much information in 1 week. So I'm going to do the best I can. Work with me. We'll get through it. The next 2 weeks are going to be fairly simple. We're going to start on part two and the first module. I've got it right here. I have to change that, but they start. So it may be a little confusing. It's not going to be module. We just finished module 4. We're not going to start module 5. We're going back to module 1. For some reason, they changed it. We're starting over, but in part 2. So pay attention to that. This week we're going to talk about pip packages, importing stuff, and why that's useful and helpful and cool. It's pretty simple. We've done a little bit of that already, I think. And there's 2 screenshots and 1 assignment this week to do. Next week is going to be spring break, so there won't be any assignments due. However, if you're behind on assignments and you don't have them in, they need to be in by the end of spring break. Otherwise, the zeros that are in there are going to stay there, and I'm closing everything from part 1 all the way up to the midterm closed. So those are little housekeeping bits. Get your stuff in. And with that, we'll jump in to PyCharm. So this week we're talking about importing modules. I can't think of anything that we've done off the top of my head, but I feel like we have done this. Importing, basically, if you haven't kind of gone through the settings and different things in your PyCharm, when you go to settings and you check your interpreter, you see all these packages. Well, you're not going to have most of these in here, but there will be some packages that came with PyCharm. These are the modules that you can import to do specific things. These were written by, just users of Python. It's open source. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Be careful what you get, but they'll do a lot of different things. They have weird names like this one here, Beautiful Soup. This actually reads all the HTML off a web page and puts it into a string or list of sorts that you can then sort through for specific things. I use this for web scraping. I had a conversation with one of you about around Christmas time, or when PS5s came out. You couldn't find one anywhere because there were people running programs that they had written with Python or others. I've written one myself. They'll go out, check all the websites, Walmart, Kmart, GameStop, all of these. If they have any in stock, it will automatically buy them, send them to the house. And when they're out of stock, it keeps going back and checking every so often until then when they come back in stock, it buys them all right back up. That's why you can't ever get one. So it's interesting to know. That's one of the. I would like to include a program like that in the class, but we always run this at some time where it doesn't seem beneficial, and a lot of students don't have any HTML or CSS experience, so it's hard to. I can't teach that and Python at the same time. But there's a lot of packages that you will use as you progress with your coding. So how do you use those? Well, it's simple. You import them. I'm kind of doing this backwards because this is the way the book does it. But if we have already obtained the package and installed it, all you have to do is type import. And for this, we'll use math. Math is built in. You don't have to get it anywhere. Python already has that ready for use. So you use the import command. We're going to import the math module. And with that, we can do something like 5 times pi. Well, let's declare a variable is going to be 5 times pi. And I'm not sure this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work, actually. But if we print in, we run it. Okay, we get an error. So this is how you simply import something. Most libraries are going to be like this. Sometimes you have to do from math import pi and import the specific module from the package. So math would be the package, pi would be the module. And now if we run it, it'll tell us that 5 times pi is 15.7, blah, blah, blah. That's how that works. I gave you a line of code because we haven't covered this yet. I gave you a line of code for your midterm. And in that, we imported random. And then for I in range 1 to 10, we did something. So random.choice. Yeah, we use range again, right? I'm not sure if this is the line of code that you used, but so each time, yeah, so for I in range 5, so every number in the range between 1 and 5, 1 through 5 times. It's a little confusing, but that's 5 times, range 5. The n is going to be equal to a random number between range 1 and 10. It's going to print that. So if I run that, you'll see you get 5 random numbers between 1 and 10. Without importing random, we can't use the random choice module, function, whatever you want to call it. Math, and that's random. Math contains a lot of different things. So instead of import or say from math, if you can use more than just pi, or you want to just get everything, just use a little star there, and that imports everything that math has in it. Math has like pi, radians, degrees, sine, cosine, tanh, whatever, tan, exponents, log, all that other good high math stuff that I don't even quite understand. This isn't a math class, so I don't have to. That's math, and that's random. There's something called aliasing, which you'll see a lot of other programmers do with their modules. I'm trying to think of one. It's like pandas. They do it a lot. We're going to talk when you build it. When you build a GUI later, we'll cover this, so you don't really need to know this, but I'm just trying to explain aliasing. So like if we're going to do math, we do import math as M. And I think that's the one of the examples it gives you in the textbook. But all your modules can do that. And later when we create a GUI, we're going to use something called Kinter, which is actually starts with a T. Talk about that later. A lot of people will, instead of typing out Kinter, they'll just type out TK. And then you do that later. Let's do the whole random thing again. And then if we type in that code again, I'm just going to copy and paste because copy and pasting faster. Nope, that's not what I want to copy and paste. Yeah, okay. Import random as R. So instead of typing out random, you just put in R, and it means the same thing because it's alias. And you run that, you get the same, well, you don't get the same results because they're random numbers, but you see what I'm saying? You still get 5 random numbers because we aliased random to just equal R. I hope that makes sense. The book makes sense, and this stuff is pretty easy. I think you guys will get that. Another useful module is platform. And I just get everything. It's just easier that way. There are some reasons why you wouldn't want to do this is when you create the package later, you know, if you're going to create an executable, it's going to grab everything that you reference in your code and stick it in an executable file. You want to keep that as small as possible. So you only want to import the things that you need for that program to run and nothing else, which is why you would, from platform import just a couple of different things, or like from math import pi, or from math import radians. If that's all you're going to use, you're not going to use pi and log, then you don't need them. But platform is useful, and this will be useful, if you start working with files, different systems, it'll be useful to know if they're using a Windows system or a Mac or something else. There are a couple of different things in platform. I'll talk about them in the book, but it gets operating system info, processor stuff, and you would use that. Like a couple of them, there's machine and processor. Now you would think, what do they return? You read the documentation. But we'll say machine, M-A-C-H. See, it comes out with this. Because we've imported platform, it finds this machine function in the platform module, right? I hope you all can see the screen really well. You should be watching this on full screen. But here, so machine will equal machine, and we'll do processor, pro equals processor, and we'll look at the results. I'm going to do this on 2 lines just so you can see they're very similar but different. So I run that, you see that the machine gives you the processor name, okay? So you call it machine, but it's a processor. It's your AMD 64. It's the processor I'm using, or the type. The processor actually gives you a bit more intel, a bit more information on the processor. What does this mean? I'm not really sure. I don't think I've ever used this. But this can be useful. Let's see. I think there's a system. You can get operating system information. And that is useful later when we start working with files, and you have to have Python will have to look at certain paths. The paths are obviously going to be different based on the machine, and then you have to type them in a different way. Heads up for you guys using Macs. I use Windows. I've always used Windows, and I hadn't really delved into how to do stuff on a Mac, so you may have to do some extra research outside of class when we get to those. Maybe not. We'll work on that later. So that is importing modules. Well, how do you get these modules? There is something for Python. It's called pip, P-I-P, and that is a kind of a redundant moniker. It can mean pip installs packages, PIP, but it references itself. It can be pip installs Python. It can be preferred installer program, whatever. It's pip. Back in the day, we would just use the command line, right? And all this normally would be done in the command line, or like an idle. If you've used idle at all, we discussed that way back in module 1. I prefer an IDE like PyCharm. But if you've never used the command line and you're on a Windows computer, click on the little search and type in CMD on the bottom. First thing that comes up should be command prompt, and just click on that and open it. And this is the little black box. It's your terminal in the Mac world. The commands on Mac should be similar. I don't know what your install location is going to be. And that's important because you have to get to where Python is installed on your machine. And then again, this goes back to module 1 or 2. When we installed this, I said make sure you know where your stuff is. Make sure you know how your environment is set up, because if you install packages in some place that Python can't see, they're not going to work. So make sure you know where your Python is installed. I have one installed on my C drive, and to get there, this isn't a DOS class or a command line class, thank God. But if you've never seen it, the CD is a command for change directory, and we're going to change the C drive. Now you have to do it this way with the semicolon and the backslash, because if you don't, it won't go anywhere. I can't find the specified path. If you just put the semicolon, it bounces you out for whatever reason. But if you do all 3, it will change you to the CD. Also, if you want to just put in the dots, You have to do it 2 times. If you cd ... it brings you up one directory to the parent directory. Excuse me. And that's how you can get to your C drive. Now, where you navigate is going to be different for each one of you. Depends on where your Python package is installed. I suggest you open up your Explorer and find it. You may have to reinstall it. But I know where mine is. And I know it's on the C drive. Another command in the command line is dir for directory. This will show you all the folders in the current directory. So if I hit this, I have a folder right here that shows that's the name of the folder where Python is, because that's what I named it. So I didn't lose it, and I knew where it was. So I'm going to cd into that directory. And there I am. And now I can see that pip is in here. What I'm going to do is type pip, 2 dashes, and version. And that's going to tell me what version of pip I'm currently running. This is one of your assignments. Just send me a screenshot with this right here. So I know that you've been in there and saw pip. Excuse me. From here, if you want to install a module, you would do pip install math or whatever module. We already have it. It's in there. Yeah. So let's do, all right. This is a good learning experience right here. If you need to upgrade pip, like right here, let's see if this works. Pip upgrade. Install upgrade pip. Pip install and upgrade. 2 dashes upgrade. It'll give you an error. Access denied, blah, blah, blah. That's a permissions issue with Windows. It's a real pain to get around. So I don't usually use this. This is how you can do it. This is one way to do it. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do to get it right. That's why knowing where your stuff is and how your environment is set up is very important. But what I'm going to do is simpler. When you're in PyCharm, go to File and drop down to your settings where we were earlier. Where'd it go? Settings, next to the little wrench. Click on that, and you'll get this window with all the packages that you have on here. So these are the packages that you currently have. If you want a new package, something that you don't have, go here to this little plus sign. It's for install. Click on that, and it brings up a new window. And these are all the packages that Python has in its repository. I don't know how many there are. There are hundreds, thousands probably. Let's say we wanted to find beautiful soup. UL. Just kind of search for it. Beautiful soup. And the most recent version is 4. Beautiful soup 4. So when you find the package you want, you simply click install package. And it'll do it for you right there in PyCharm. You don't have to worry about the command line. Nice, right? You can also, you come in here and you look at the packages you have. If you want to make sure that you have, like my beautiful soup, it has this little caret pointing up. And then you can see it's updated here. If you click that, it will reach out and I don't know if you can see down here at the bottom, but it'll upgrade your packages. Make sure you have the most current package available. And it's that simple. So I think this is one of your assignments as well. Send me a screenshot of what packages you have installed. So I know you know how to get here in the settings. And that is it. That's 2 assignments down. How about that? Your last assignment this week, we're going to revisit the student grades assignment that we did back in Module 3. Probably half the class did not turn this one in, and I've not gotten any questions on it. So I'm assuming you know how to do it. You just didn't. If you have, if you're out there and you didn't do this assignment and you need help, you need to let me know early in the week, and I'll put out a walkthrough video. Otherwise, I expect it done. So it's the same thing, same code. You really don't have to type anything new. All we're doing is importing something. Not only can you import packages, but you can import other scripts into your Python program. So for this assignment, it's the same student grades, right? We're going to create a file name grades variable. That grades variable that I gave you in module 3, you're going to put that into one file, and then in the next you're going to create another file and name it student grades part 2. You're going to then import that grades variable into the student grades file and perform all your calculations same way we did last time inside Python. You're just importing that variable, and it's just kind of an illustration on how that works. Let's see if we can do a little quick demo real quick. We will, let me go get that variable, see if I can find it. All right, found the grades variable, put it in there. And this is going to be your grades variable file, right? That's the only thing in there. So you go back. This is all you need in the one file, your grades variable file. You create another file. Now here it's important that you have both files saved in the same place. Otherwise, one file can't see the other one. So they need to be in the same directory. But then we just import demo, and then we can access the grades variable. We'll call it G, and it's going to be equal to demo.grades. So we're calling the Python file demo that we imported, and we're trying to find the grades variable, right? And that's going to be equal to G. So this is how you access the variable. And if you want to print G and run that, you see it prints out the entire grades variable thing. Now we've gone over how to print 0, how to print the specific indexes. The very first one should be 86. So we're importing that variable. We're importing the file. So the file can contain functions, it can contain variables and all kinds of stuff. You just import them so you don't have to retype everything. This is how you reuse code in your programs later on. But that is that. And so this will be your, I just abbreviated, but this will be your student grades part 2 file. And in here, you'll do the same things that you did in the first assignment, just now you're importing the variable, and you may have to call it a different way. That's it. Fairly simple. But again, if you have any problems, send me an email and I'll work you through it. And that, I believe, is it for the week. Yep. Let's see. Did I cover anything else? Nope. That's it for this week. It's 3 assignments, part 2, module 1. Spring break next week, so make sure you get caught up. Again, turn in all your assignments. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm happy to work with you. Let me know if you need anything. Thanks.